Hey guys, welcome back. My last video got cut a little short. I've been recording this on my phone and I had a technical difficulty, but I'm about to buy a laptop and get a little bit more editing skills. So the videos are going to get better over time. So this is a little bit of a learning process, so bear with me, and the videos are just going to get better as it goes. So picking up where we left off, I was talking about the Homes Not Hedge Funds Act. And this was proposed by two Democrats in the Nashville district. Now, that should not have anything to do with whether or not you support it because it was proposed by two Democrats. Now, that's the thing that I'm concerned about is it got shelved to be voted on next year in 2026. So I'm worried that there's not going to be enough Republican support. There's going to be a lot of Republican no votes on it because it was proposed by two Democrats. Now, that's not how things should work, because overall, people who own their own homes contribute more to a community. They have stewardship over their community. They care about the schools. They care about the local wildlife, the forest, the economy of the area, everything. Whenever you're a renter, you might not care about those things as much because you're temporary. You're not really putting roots down. So overall, home ownership equals stronger communities and just better overall communities. So everybody should be supporting this. We should not like the idea of private equity firms buying up houses to turn them into rental homes and eliminating future people and young people from owning homes like the baby boomer generation did, where you could literally go and buy a home and you made enough money to pay it off within 3 to 5 years. That's how it used to be. So like one statistic here I have for you is that housing is actually up 170% and income is only up 78%. And that's specifically here in the state of Tennessee. So housing is way up and people are not getting a raise to make up for it. And then it's harder and harder because homes are easily 200, 300,000 now. You have to have a down payment for that. You have to have a decent amount of credit. The rate of interest is not very good right now. So please call your representative and tell them to vote for the Homes Not Hedge Funds Act, because it'll limit these corporations from buying up all these houses, and they can only buy 100 houses per county. And I would like them to have even less than that, but if that's where we start, that's where we start. So please get in touch with your representative. Tell them how you feel about that. Tell them it doesn't matter if a Democrat proposed the bill. You want it voted for. You think it's best for the people. Now, another bill that you need to get in touch with your representative about coming up in 2026 is the Monsanto Immunity Bill. Now, Georgia has already passed this bill, and another state, I'm trying to think, it's either Florida or North Carolina, has also passed. But basically, when Secretary Kennedy got his job, it made a lot of these big pesticide companies and a lot of big pharmaceutical companies worried that they were going to be subject to even more lawsuit. Because years back, RFK actually sued Monsanto, and it was a huge lawsuit because they finally had to admit that their product was causing, I think it's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other forms of cancer. But big payout to a lot of people that were affected by that. And rightfully so, because they had a product on the market that they knew was causing harm, and they told people for years that it was safe, and it wasn't. So they should be responsible for paying for all the medical reimbursement to all those people who were affected. So some of these states are passing bills that make Monsanto immune to any type of litigation. And I don't know why they would do that. That's ridiculous. I don't know why it passed in those states, but the only answer I can think of is Monsanto is now owned by the pharmaceutical company Bayer. And the only thing I could think of is Bayer probably donated a lot of money to representatives in those states. And they told them, hey, we would really like immunity so we don't have to pay any more people that we made sick. So that's a disgusting thing that those representatives even voted for that. So Tennessee is like almost half farmland. It's like 40 something percent farmland. There's a lot of farmers in this state, and a lot of us use some of the pesticides. A lot of us use glyphosate, Roundup, just in our gardens and other stuff like that, made by Monsanto. So I'm sure there's a lot of people here in the state of Tennessee that have been affected. So please get in touch with your representative and tell them to vote no on the Monsanto immunity bill coming up in 2026. It is for the best of everybody. There's no reason to shield a corporation from any suffering that they cause somebody. They should have to pay. Okay, now, and another interesting thing that happened this week is I saw Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, under President Trump, new Defense Secretary. He was previously a Fox News host and then was upgraded to this job. He is floating the idea of running for governor of Tennessee after Trump's presidency, because Trump only has 3 more years, and it's doubtful that, let's say, if J.D. Vance was the next candidate, he probably wouldn't take Pete Hegseth as the defense secretary moving forward. So moving from being a Fox News host to being defense secretary is a huge leap. That is one of the biggest jobs in the government. So where does he go from there? He's thinking, oh, possibly governor of Tennessee. I think he owns a home here, or maybe he lives here. I'm not really sure. But, that's an interesting run. Obviously he'd be a Republican. He's a big military guy. He's a Fox News host, and he was Secretary of Defense under a lot of the stuff that's been happening. He was over, some of the bombings of the Iran nuclear facilities. So, he's an interesting guy. I mean, I'm sure it would get a lot of views, but at the end of the day, I kind of feel like he's not really a free thinker, not really a maverick to be a governor or a leader in that capacity. He kind of seems just like a Trump loyalist, like somebody who, he probably knows his stuff about military, and he's very loyal to Trump. That's why Trump picked him. And I don't really know that necessarily translates to like governor material. So that'll be interesting to see. And then Matt Walsh, conservative podcaster, I'm sure you might have seen him on the Daily Wire. He lives here in Tennessee as well. He is kind of floating the idea of running for governor. It was a little bit of a joke when a leftist writer wrote an article about him saying, oh, what's next for Matt Walsh? And he kind of picked up on it saying, oh, well, maybe. So yeah, that's an interesting one. But Matt Walsh, I like that guy. He's very entertaining. I watch his show a lot. But he is very far right. He is far right conservative, religious fundamentalist. And, I respect religious fundamentalism. I respect your beliefs, but I don't necessarily think that that's the best candidate for the leader of a state that has such a growing diverse population. That's what it is. We have so many people moving here from other states. We have a larger minority rate than we previously did. It was previously a very white state. Now it's you're seeing a lot of different people. You're seeing a lot of Hispanic people that live here. You're seeing people that have moved from California, people that have moved from New York. So, it's going to be a very diversified population. And I don't necessarily know that a far right conservative religious fundamentalist would be the guy to really bring everybody together for that. So Some ideas that I would kind of like to see is like Dan Osborne, for example. He ran for Senate in Nebraska, and that guy was really interesting. He was the union leader for Kellogg's, and he ran a strike to help get their benefits back because they tried to strip them of all their benefits and some of their pay. So he ran a successful strike at Kellogg's. He was the union president. Interesting guy. He has Navy background and just a regular blue collar working man, kind of like myself, common sense minded. And he's not in that bubble of politics and actually knows what it's like to be an everyday guy. Now, and then somebody that's a little bit of a stretch from that is I was looking around at like businessmen from Tennessee. Chris Cashwell. I don't really know where he politically leans, left or right, but he has some interesting qualifications. He's CEO and founder of Azra AI. He's an expert in strategy development, commercialization, and has led numerous consulting partnerships of Fortune 200 companies and private equity, and many multi-level deals dealing with a lot of people. I think it said he had like 4,000 staff members under him. And, that's something like that's very impressive. I would like to see somebody like that come to the table, not with a party affiliation, somebody that has enough clout to where their reputation speaks for itself. They don't have to be sold by a party to say, look how great this guy is. No, this guy built a business himself, has a very good reputation, and he could run on the whole concept of people